Snow White. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered who, deep down, is reflected there? What if a person's greatest enemy isn't some separate villain, but the very shadow that dwells within us? Today you will meet Snow White, not only as the fair-skinned young woman with an unusual destiny, but as a universal symbol of our personal desires, fears, and struggles. In a world where beauty is currency and envy is poison, Snow White takes us to a universe where everything that glitters can hide very deep shadows. Prepare to understand not only the story, but what it truly represents. The search for acceptance, the silent war between light and darkness, and the courage to choose compassion, self-knowledge, and truth even in the face of persecution. Imagine living under the watchful eye of a figure who should be a symbol of protection, but who becomes your greatest adversary, the evil queen. Here, we are not dealing with just any villain, but with the embodiment of envy, resentment, and an insatiable desire for control. Beneath every hateful gesture beats a needy heart, terrified by the mirror. Snow White, in turn, is born from the fragility of innocence, but is forged in the fire of conflict and rejection. Their journey is not merely a physical escape, but a deep dive into their own unconscious, an encounter with archetypes, with unexpected allies, the seven dwarfs, symbols of the soul's multiplicity, and the discovery that all true beauty is revealed when we accept our shadow. This story is more than a tale. It's an invitation to look inward, to perceive the ancient echoes of our own conflicts, and to learn from Snow White that, even under the threat of destruction, we can still flourish. Who are you when you look in the mirror? Have you ever wondered what your mirror really reflects? You might think you only see your own image, but what if, hidden within the nuances of that reflection, lies everything you most confront, or avoid, within yourself? This isn't just the story of a young woman with fair skin and black hair. It comes from an ancestral time when stories were more than fables. They were secret maps of our unconscious. Imagine growing up surrounded by beauty, but also by sideways glances, receiving sweet words, but feeling the electric tension of envy in the air. Snow White was born under a promise to be more beautiful than the queen herself, and so she became a global symbol of the danger of comparison, a warning to every heart tormented by doubt. Am I enough? In the castle, where everything shines on the outside, the shadow of fear grows silently. The queen, a woman of power, dominion, and crafted beauty, feels her position threatened not by what Snow White does, but by what she simply is. Jealousy distills poison with a smile. Every morning before the mirror, she questions not only beauty, but her right to exist. The mirror, that cold oracle, always reflects back what she fears to hear. Youth and purity have taken center stage. There is no room for both. Thus, the age-old battle between the new and the old, between light and shadow, is waged. Snow White, on the other hand, doesn't understand why love seeps from cold eyes. She seeks affection, but only finds orders, tasks, silences. She senses, from an early age, that her difference is a threat, not a blessing. She still ignores the destiny that awaits her, but senses the danger in disguised words, in the restless presences of the castle. Snow White's heart beats with hope, and it is precisely this natural glow that will increasingly ignite the queen's wrath. And you? What would you do if someone swore to destroy you because they couldn't stand their own reflection? Ready to delve into one of the most universal journeys of the human soul, where every beauty carries a shadow, and every mirror can become an abyss? Mirror, shadow, and exclusion. In the queen's castle, each step Snow White takes reverberates as an unsettling reminder that youth cannot be controlled, only feared. The queen, dressed in emerald silk, watches from afar as her stepdaughter grows in beauty and grace. There is no affection, only calculation. Beneath veils and crowns, an invisible terror pulsates, the certainty that one day she will lose everything she cultivates: appearance, power, admiration. The queen's mirror is not just an object, but a symbol, the oracle of the desire for control, the fear of aging, of losing value. How many times does she ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," wishing to hear that she is unique, unsurpassed. But on dreary mornings the mirror reflects back what she fears most. Snow White, the fairest of them all. If the whole world only admired you conditionally, how long would it take to lose its own soul? Snow White, however, seeks simple signs of affection. With each solitary meal, hope mixes with fear. Why does the one who should protect her seem willing to destroy every nuance of her inner light? The entire kingdom whispers, some with envy, others with pity, but all attentive to the invisible war gaining strength between the queen and her stepdaughter. Jungian psychology reveals that the queen represents the shadow, that part of ourselves which, when repressed, returns with greater force and resentment. Snow White, the persona, the innocent mask, the immature potential, still naive in the face of lurking terror. In the duel between the two, the map of almost all human life is drawn: acceptance and rejection, light and shadow, desire and guilt. The flower festival, a tradition in the kingdom, arrives. Snow White, dressed in white, attracts glances of affection and admiration. The queen, seated on the throne, feels the audience leaving. Her fingers grip the arm of the chair, her eyes sparkling. The mirror in her mind repeats the verdict. After the ceremony, silent orders are given. The hunter receives the command: take her to the forest. Don't let her return. The echo of this moment is an archetypal mark. Every childhood has its exile. Every purity faces the dark path of initiation. When your own light awakens the hatred of another, how can you survive without losing who you are? The hunter, faced with Snow White's innocence, hesitates. The forest is not merely physical territory, it is the unknown, the unconscious in its primordial form. He realizes he cannot commit the act. He releases the young woman and brings back to the queen only artificial proof of the supposed crime. Snow White flees. She experiences for the first time the taste of exile. She sheds tears that run down the earth. She fears the dark, the animals, her own solitude. Here begins her true journey, not only to survive, but to discover strengths she never before claimed. The forest gradually reveals hidden charms, winding paths, ancient trees, birdsong, threats, and promises. Snow White learns each night to find shelter, fruit, and water. Fear and courage duel within her. The queen back in the castle feels triumphant, but only for a short time. The mirror, merciless, reveals Snow White lives. The horror of the rivalry makes the shadow grow even stronger, now ready to attack on three fronts: intelligence, charm, and poison. When danger comes disguised as a gift, who do you need to be to avoid succumbing? Snow White, now stronger, wilder, and less naive, moves toward the next chapter of her story, the search for her true home, and the meaning of her own existence. The refuge, dwarfs, and the inner journey. The dense, mysterious forest transforms into a parallel universe for Snow White. Each night endured expands her courage. Each obstacle overcome reveals parts of herself that have always been hidden beneath the protection of the castle. As she wanders aimlessly, her hands intertwine with fear and hope. Exhaustion takes over, but the search for shelter leads her to the unexpected. A tiny, cozy little house surrounded by wild flowers and enveloped in an aura of vibrant life. Upon entering, you find everything in miniature: beds, utensils, everyday tools. Shortly after, you are greeted by 7 unique figures. The dwarves, beings who, at first glance, seem merely amusing, but each one invisibly carries a part of the human soul. Dunga, purity and spontaneity. Master, wisdom and vision. Achu, vulnerability. Nap, tiredness and a break. Angry, the strength of the opposition. Happy, essential joy. Spoiled, sensitivity and sweetness. Together, they symbolize inner fragments, 7 possible facets of each of us. The dwarves, initially suspicious, are gradually charmed by Snow White's genuine presence, perceiving in her something that transcends beauty. Authenticity. The moment you find support in the most unlikely places, everything changes. What facet of yourself is still waiting to be embraced? Snow White adapts to the routine, learning to value work, small tasks, and shared time. Daily service purifies the mind and strengthens the body. The communal home teaches trust, protection, and collaboration. However simple life may be among the dwarves, no 2 days are the same. In every conversation by the fireplace, every shared meal, a realization emerges. It is not just physical shelter, but intimate reconstruction, healing through companionship. Meanwhile, the queen, restless and full of resentment, discovers through the mirror that Snow White survives. Her desire for control grows. She decides to attack cunningly. 3 attacks are orchestrated, each representing an attempt to subvert her identity. The tight corset, it suffocates, limits, tries to prevent Branka from breathing her truth. The poisoned comb, it offers superficial beauty while wounding the essence. The red apple, deadly seduction, the ultimate test of integrity. Snow White resists, with the help of the dwarves, but ends up falling victim to the last trap, the apple. The deep sleep is not merely physical, it is a metaphor for total immersion in the unconscious, in the land of dreams and shadows. How many poisons have you accepted just to please, to belong, or to survive? The dwarves in despair try to heal her. They lament, they cry, but they don't give up. Love, even in the face of apparent end, persists as a mysterious force capable of transcending symbolic death. Meanwhile, the forest remains a silent witness to that journey. The wind carries away the news of the fall, but it also blows hope. In every deep sleep, there is always the risk and the chance of waking up. Snow White, even in her repose, undergoes her transition. She loses her naivete, gains depth, transforms pain into raw material for rebirth. The forest is no longer a threat, but a preparatory setting for the new chapter that is approaching. When salvation depends on someone else, who do you need to be to accept and ask for help? The story is poised for a twist. The question remains whether, behind the victim, lies the strength of a true heroine. Rediscovery, love, and transformation. Time passes differently when symbolic death visits a house. The dwarves, inconsolable, keep Snow White in a crystal coffin. The body preserves its beauty, but does not reveal the struggle waged within. It was necessary to sleep deeply, to cross the shadows, to lose the illusion of fragility in order to truly awaken. The silence of the dwarves is filled with unspoken words. Each one laments, hopes, prays, in the language of the unconscious, awaiting the miracle of integration. Love, often silent, reveals itself more in caring for others than in words. Far away, news of the enchantment spreads. A prince, drawn both by the story and the aura of mystery surrounding the sleeping young woman, arrives at the clearing. The encounter is not merely physical, it is a metaphor for the union between desire and fulfillment, between anima and animus, the opposing sides of the psyche, according to Jung, which need to recognize each other for fulfillment to occur. The prince, upon seeing Snow White, feels compassion and enchantment, 2 emotions that only arise from encountering what is lacking within oneself. It is not merely about saving, but about embracing the power of difference. The kiss, a classic symbol of resurrection in fairy tales, is here interpreted as the mutual acceptance of imperfection, rebirth through the sum of each other's frailties. At the moment of the kiss, a jolt, Snow White awakens. The world seems to vibrate for the dwarves, the prince, and for herself. She is no longer the fragile young woman from the beginning. Something has changed in her essence. Emerging from her deep sleep, she carries not only memories, but the scars and lessons of the underworld. Fear gives way to the gaze of one who has returned from the dark night of the soul. When you accept all your parts, who is truly reborn? The former victim or the new protagonist of their own story? With renewed life, Snow White thanks the dwarves and the prince, recognizing that true love lies not only in unexpected passion, but in the deep bond built through shared experiences, acceptance, and daily support. The queen, upon learning of Snow White's resurrection, feels the definitive collapse of her own power. She flees from herself, refuses to confront her own shadow, until solitude transforms her into a specter of her old desires, an irremediable prey to envy and insecurity. Her downfall is not only punishment, but a universal lesson. Those who refuse to integrate their shadow are doomed to live only half a life. Snow White returns to the kingdom not as an innocent figure, but as one who has already traversed inner hell and returns transformed. The people welcome her. The castle, once cold, is filled with celebration. Her reign begins not with external triumphs, but with the courage to embrace vulnerabilities and integrate all sides of her own being. What part of you awaits acceptance to awaken a power that has been dormant until now? The coronation ceremony is symbolic. It represents the final stage of the hero's journey, where the protagonist returns to the world, ready to guide it not through an example of perfection, but through the authenticity gained along the way. Dwarfs, prince, people, and above all, Snow White, celebrate reintegration, the end of internal wars, the discreet victory of self-knowledge over the desire to control the mirror of the world. The inner mirror. Time moves on. Cycles renew themselves. But every day Snow White dedicates a few minutes to looking in the mirror, not to consult her outward beauty, but to contemplate who she has become after so many battles fought in the silence of her soul. The mirror is no longer an oracle of anxiety, but a tool for self-knowledge. Snow White understands. True beauty has never been an unchanging gift, but the blossoming of those who choose to grow despite fear, rejection, and the dangers along the way. The kingdom prospers because it doesn't hide the shadows, but embraces every nuance, allowing the people to be imperfect and happy, accepting that all light only exists because there is darkness. The dwarves continue their travels, living new adventures. The prince, their faithful companion, becomes a symbol of the union of opposites. The kingdom celebrates not only fiestas but also honesty, the courage to be whole, the right to err and start over. In the gentle solitude of her room, Snow White looks in the mirror and smiles, knowing that the greatest gift was learning to love herself. The mirror reflects not only her image but the story of redemption, growth, and acceptance that each of us can walk. And you, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Can you accept your shadows in order to bloom just like Snow White? The story ends, but the seed remains. Each person, when looking in their own mirror, reflects not only a face, but all the journeys they have undertaken within themselves. The queen becomes a reminder of what should not be hidden. Snow White, a symbol of the light that is only born in hearts that dare to integrate all their parts. If this story resonated with your journey, share it with someone who needs to remember that every shadow can be embraced. Subscribe to the channel, leave your comment. Which queen lives within you? Which Snow White is waiting to bloom? Like the video, share it, transform your own mirror.